Now, Willie Rioli, this has caused a fair bit of consternation in the football world, this situation, where the AFL decided to shoulder arms and let the ball go through to the keeper.
Was that a mistake, Ed?
Well, let's move on. There's more to this because you've got two stories. Now, this morning on your SEN radio show, you said there was a second situation that Willie had been involved in, and now, exclusively, you're going to say there's a third where Willie's he's got to stop watching Goodfellas, OK? He's threatening to whack people. Yeah, what happened?
Well, the second situation was Geelong, as reported by Sam McClure as well in The Age tonight. The third situation where Willie Rioli had a crack at an opposition player in a way that teammates of that player could not believe, and it was similarly threatening, was against Essendon earlier this year at Marvel Stadium. So Essendon earlier this year, Geelong last year, and then via social media against the Western Bulldogs over the last few days.
Do you know which player it was for Essendon?
I do. I'm deciding not to stay. I don't want to bring that player into the conversation because in essence they're the victim in this situation.
OK, so here's where the story moves. Right now, the AFL now know that there has been 3 incidents.
Well, I don't know if the AFL knows there's been 3.
Yeah, they do, because I told them.
Oh, OK, no worries.
OK, so they do know that there's 3, and I would suggest that this is the new line of engagement that the AFL must do tomorrow morning, and that is Laura Kane, the integrity officer, has to ring Essendon, Geelong and the Western Bulldogs, get statements, then get Willie Rioli, his president or chief executive, his manager and his coach, and come in and have the old-fashioned please explain. Now, whether or not they want to then retrospectively go back and give him a suspension or a fine, that's up to the AFL. But there now has to be a come-to-Jesus moment in this situation. You cannot be going out threatening people in those ways on a football field.
So Rioli's supporters will say that he was provoked.
It doesn't.
And it doesn't excuse what happened, but it just paints a picture that there has been some inappropriate things said to him in the first place.
Then investigate what happened, and if the provocation was enough, then they face the consequences too. It's as simple. We've got to stop having euphemisms for everything in football. I keep every time we come in here, we've got to dance around what's going on. You can't be threatening to whack people on a football.
I played in an era where people were provoked and they punched people.
Yeah.
And in the end, those incidents were investigated and sanctions came down on the provoker as well. So if they are being provoked to a point that it's beyond, it shouldn't be, investigate that, do something about that, as well as do something about Willie Rioli. I mean, there's a lot of players in the AFL who must feel very unfairly treated in the past year particularly, and even Ken Hinkley. I mean, how does Ken Hinkley feel after what's happened compared to some of the things that have gone on this year?
So let's have a look at some of the issues that the AFL have faced. And as we say in football, you don't pick and choose when you go.
No.
OK? And this is where I think the AFL not only has to toughen up, but just has to get the consistency into play. So Bailey Smith, 1,000 there. The Wizard gets 1,000 here. Now, you know, I mean, is it that big a deal? 20,000 for Ken doing that. I mean,
that's getting more ridiculous every day.
Every day that looks more and more ridiculous, and on it goes. Now, I want to show the Sicily situation. So forget about.
I didn't like this, Ed.
Forget about the tackle the night before. Right now, watch this. So Rioli's got the ball. The other Rioli gets tackled. Now he's grabbed. That was a free kick for tripping. But then he goes after him. Right, he got the free kick. That should be enough. He got away with it. Now, that's a free kick to Rioli all day, but forget that. But then this bit, this is the bit I don't like. He's on the ground, unprotected. Why
wasn't that reversed?
It should have been reversed. What it should have been a free kick to Rioli in the first place, and then 50 up the other end. As it turned out, ended up being the wrong free kick. Then, asleep at the wheel, the umpire on taunting and provocation, and it should have been taken off him one way or the other.
As it turned out,
again, Rory, we've both played a lot of footy, and intimidation is part of the game. You get intimidated, you intimidate, you try to, but you push the line. That's over the line, and that should be at worst. You can't have that in the game. You've got to change that free kick or charge the person because it's a free kick against.
Sorry, can I put it to you two guys? Because your game was about fairness and going hard at the ball. So was yours, OK? Intimidation was on all the time. You intimidated players with your courage and the way you played football. Now, to me, I'm starting to really get upset when I go to football. How many players got melee fines the other day?
Oh, there's thousands of dollars every single weekend.
Yeah, but it's just, you know, plastic tough people. Okay, and you get all these.
Can't do anything anyway.
But you got all these, got all these people going up pushing people after they miss a goal and all that sort of stuff. Right, there is a rule in the NFL, right, which is probably the toughest football game in the world. Just roll the vision here. I'll just show you. It's called the taunting rule. Now this is the NFL. See that? He got $14,000 worth of fines for doing that, this bloke, and had the ball kids at school and in the playground not to do. No cheap shots. Don't be a narc. Don't be going over pushing people when they're not
Especially
looking.
while they're not
Don't
looking.
push
Don't
them in
push
the
them in the
back.
back.
All that sort of stuff. And in the meantime, you know, we're fining people for giving a bird and all this other stuff. And then now this Rioli stuff, that's going to blow up tomorrow big time off the back of Tom Morris's exclusive.
For giving the bird, you've got to have the James Sicily. There's got to be a reversal. There has to be, I think, bullying in any. I'm not saying he's bullying, but in any form, that you've got to take that out of the game so the kids don't do that in their game.
Exactly.
We want to set the right example for the kids coming through, and the AFL is so big on this. They want to promote the game to our young kids coming through and go, this is how we play it, and this is the manner in which we play it. And as you touched on before, it's play the game the right way. And then what does that look like? It looks like this. Play it tough, hard and fair.
I want to go and see the football. I want to see players fly for marks, right? Not be held back or pushing in the back. I want to see them go hard at a 50-50 contest and protect themselves first
It's the
up.
right technique.
The right technique, right? I don't want to be seeing our game that we love so much. We've now got more. We've got more rules than the Australian Tax Office. It used to be the game without rules. We've got people diving on the ground and flopping and flipping around like wet fish. We've got this sort of nonsense going on. This is not our game.
It's because most of our rules are up for interpretation. If the rules were hard and fast, like you just can't push people in the back. That's a free kick.
I think the
and that's
rules
a
are up
fine.
for interpretation, but again, in the era we played, there were rules about this sort of stuff. They were the AFL was a lot harder on this sort of stuff, on melees, on not playing in the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
They're a lot harder than they are now. I think they've let the game go a bit, so the spirit of the game is not played in the spirit.
Now, a story that we started on this show last year in round one was the need for the drug code to be absolutely revamped. Now, the mail is that it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks before Paul Marsh leaves the AFLPA. My understanding, it is not going to be anywhere near as tough as what it might have been in the first instance, and it's going to be absolutely ripped to shreds by people who have had enough of this. And if you don't think that we need to be stopping players and testing them for drugs, then you haven't been watching the news over the last couple of months. We had blokes who came out of AFL systems getting pulled up and being allegedly charged on the weekend for drug offences. It's happening left, right and centre, and we're not doing anything about it. The ongoing drama that's going to come because of drugs, I don't know why the AFL is lying down for people who are drug takers who are laughing in the whole AFL's face.
To appease the AFLPA, though, Ed. You know that. You know that's the reason.
But it's not appeasing the AFLPA because I know that many players who say, no, we're sick of all this. We're sick of being seen to be this. No, my
and
point
to
is
pick up
this.
the pieces of everyone else too.
Covering up for people does not help. If you have a look at everything, go back to Watergate. It wasn't the crime, it was the cover-up.
Yep.
And this is what's going to kill the AFL down the track when one day a player's going to come in and say, you taught me how to take drugs and I'm suing you for ruining my life. It'll be concussion Mark II.
Yep.
Mark my words. And I just can't see it, and it's... Yep, anyway. So there's a bit of drama going on and it needs a firm hand and we need to see it.